So the new iPhone 17 Pro is here. And yeah, it's an absolute powerhouse. But if you look a little closer, it's also, well, it's a puzzle. A collection of really powerful upgrades that has tech reviewers all asking one big question.
What is going on here? Seriously, because when you look at the spec sheet, it just feels like this confusing, almost random collection of upgrades that don't really add up. It's like Apple handed us the solution, but never told us what the problem was in the first place. Okay, let's get into this.
And these are the puzzle pieces. Apple puts 12 gigs of RAM in this phone. That's a 50% jump, and then barely even mentions it. They talk up the new chip's neural accelerators, but don't show us a single thing we can do with them. And they completely redesign the phone's internals around a brand new vapor chamber for cooling. But for what? There are no killer new software features, we still don't have 8K video, and there were zero on-stage AI demos to justify all this raw power.
So to solve this whole mystery, we need to look at the clues. And it turns out, pretty much every single major upgrade on this phone comes with a huge but, a little asterisk that actually tells a much bigger story.
Let's start with the cameras, which are definitely more pro than ever. The big story here is all about balance. For the first time, all three lenses, the main, the ultra-wide, and the telephoto, are these super powerful 48-megapixel sensors. It makes the whole system feel way more consistent and evenly matched. But here's that asterisk. While those three 48-megapixel sensors are incredibly reliable and the new front camera is awesome, wider and more detailed, there are some trade-offs. The new 4x telephoto lens, for example, kind of struggles to focus on things up close. And even with a 2TB storage option, there's still no 8K video. Oh, and those annoying lens flares you see in night shots? Yeah, they're still here.
So the bottom line is this. The camera's real strength isn't one big, flashy feature. As Mr. Who's the Boss puts it, it's all the little changes that, together, make it feel so incredibly dependable. You can basically just point and shoot in almost any situation and know you're going to get a great photo.
Okay, let's move on to the physical design, because the plot thickens here. Apple actually ditched titanium this year and went with a new unibody aluminum jacket. It's a more maximalist design. It's thicker, it's heavier, and that gives them more room for stuff on the inside. And you know, that new camera plateau actually works as a surprisingly natural finger rest.
But yeah, you guessed it, here comes another huge asterisk. This phone is a complete paradox when it comes to durability. The unibody frame is structurally way stronger, but the anodized aluminum surface seems to scratch so much easier, and it reveals this raw silver metal underneath. And that 3x scratch resistance on the screen that Apple claimed, well, reviewers are making noticeable marks on it in seconds.
Now, let's talk about the battery. On the surface, this is a huge step up. The Pro's battery is 20% bigger than last year's, and for the first time ever, the iPhone 17 Pro Max actually breaks that 5,000 mAh barrier. A bigger battery plus faster 40-watt charging, that's a win for everyone, right? Or is it?
And this chart just perfectly illustrates the final asterisk. The battery improvement you get depends entirely on where you buy the phone. If you're in the US with that eSIM-only model, you're getting a nice, healthy 15% boost. But if you're in Europe or India and you have the physical SIM version, that improvement plummets to just 6%. That is a massive difference.
And all of this brings us to the second major puzzle of the iPhone 17 Pro. This maximalist, most professional iPhone ever made, is also, weirdly, the most mainstream phone of all time. How can it possibly be both? Well, the sales data tells a really fascinating story. You think the base iPhone would be the biggest seller. It's the best deal after all. But nope, the Pro models absolutely dominate sales. The Pro Max alone is over half of all sales. And when you combine the two Pro models, they make up something like 90% of all orders. The Pro phone is now the default phone for pretty much everyone.
So Apple is building these super high-end Pro features for a mainstream audience. A perfect example is that new vapor chamber. If you put last year's iPhone 16 Pro under a thermal camera, you'd see this single white-hot spot right where the processor is. The 17 Pro, it spreads that heat evenly across the whole back. That means it holds on to higher performance for way longer, and it stays comfortable to hold, whether you're a pro gamer or just scrolling through Instagram.
And as Marques Brownlee points out, this is a benefit for literally everyone. Features that are designed for extreme pro use cases like better thermals, bigger batteries, brighter screens, they just turn out to be awesome for everybody. The everyday person buying a Pro Max gets just as much out of this as a power user.
Okay, so we've got our clues. We have these massive hardware upgrades with no obvious use case, And we have pro-level features being sold to a mainstream audience. It all points to one central theory that could finally solve this entire puzzle.
Which brings us right back to our original question. What is all of this for? Why would Apple build a phone with so much power, so much cooling, if there's no software today that can actually take advantage of it?
And here's the answer, or at least the consensus that's building among reviewers. Apple is playing the long game. This phone isn't really built for today. It's designed for heavy, next-generation, on-device Apple Intelligence features that, well, they just haven't been announced yet. The hardware team is simply way ahead of the software team.
And suddenly, all those random puzzle pieces just click into place. That extra 12 gigs of RAM, you need that to run complex AI language models right there on your device. Those new neural accelerators, that's to process all those AI tasks efficiently without killing your battery. And that brand new vapor chamber, you're going to need that to keep the chip cool when it's running those intense AI workloads for a long time. This phone isn't for today's apps, it's for tomorrow's AI.
So, with the puzzle seemingly solved, we're left with one last really important question. Is the iPhone 17 Pro, this future-proofed device, actually worth buying right now?
As it stands today, in 2026, the 17 Pro is for a pretty specific type of person. It's for the power users who are actually going to push that performance to its absolute limit. It's for gamers who will definitely feel the benefit of that new cooling system. It's for people who just want the biggest screen and the best battery life, period. And, maybe most importantly, it's for anyone who's willing to bet on Apple's future AI promises.
For pretty much everyone else, it's a really tough sell. And that's because the base iPhone 17 is just so good this year, and it's a full $300 cheaper. That makes the Pro a very optional, maybe even a niche upgrade for now.
And that leaves us with the ultimate question you really have to ask yourself. Are you buying a phone for what it can do for you right now, today? Or are you investing in the promise of what it might become a year from now? With the iPhone 17 Pro, Apple is definitely betting you'll choose the future.